Welcome to the Transparent FX Academy. If you're new to the channel, I'm Nick and I've been a top author on TradingView for many years, as well as being one of the only traders with a fully verified MyFX book track record. So if you want to elevate your trading, you're definitely in the right place. So subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. So take a second, pause the video, read the disclaimer, and I will see you on the charts. In this video, I'll speak about USDCAD. Now, as usual, to keep the video as educational as possible, first I'll give you the technical aspect for this market, then I'll move to the commitment of traders analysis to see what institutions in the market are doing and how they are moving and shifting their orders, and then I'll put together these two different types of analysis. So this is definitely a video you do not want to miss. Now, starting here from the monthly time frame, what we can see is that we have a market which is currently approaching a quite important historical supply and resistance zone. In fact, what we know is that from here, all this previous rejection to the downside was created. Then again, the market went and tested exactly the same zone and again was rejected to the downside very aggressively. We then had very recently another test of this exact same level of supply and resistance, which again was respected as supply and resistance. And right now the market is entering towards and inside of this zone once more, with the possibility of seeing some short-term bearish price action as a reaction to all this selling pressure, which seems to be applied to this market as soon as it enters inside of this zone. So let's keep all of this in mind. Let's keep in mind that the market is entering now once more inside of this important historical monthly supply and resistance zone. And let's drop down on the weekly time frame. Now, from a weekly perspective, what we can notice here is a textbook example of an inversion and shift of structure. We went, in fact, from having a clear weekly bearish structure. The market was creating weekly lower lows and lower highs. Then the market inverted to the creation of weekly higher highs and higher lows. So we had a perfect inversion of trend from a weekly bearish trend to now a weekly bullish trend. So from the creation of weekly lower lows and lower highs to now the creation of weekly higher highs and higher lows. Now, in this case, the inversion pattern was a triple bottom. We had the first bottom here, the second one here, and the third one here. Now, in a situation like this, that is exactly what you expect. Like if you see a clear bearish trend, the market then for 3 times fails in breaking below, so creating a new lower low, and then the market inverts to the creation of weekly higher highs and higher lows. That is, as I was saying, a textbook example of a shift from a weekly bearish market to a weekly bullish market, shifting as a inversion pattern with the triple bottom created exactly this zone. Now, in this specific situation, the structure would be this level here. So the level of previous support turned resistance and then again turned support. And in this case, we can see that it is in fact exactly where you would expect it to be, because if we look closely, we can notice that in fact the market at this level has structure. This zone was the previous level of weekly support and demand, which then was broken to the downside, started acting as resistance. Then the market broke back above the zone and the market continued respecting this area as support. We are now creating weekly higher highs and higher lows. So what we expect after an impulse correction and a new higher high is to potentially see a new correction before then a more bullish continuation. So what we could expect in this case is short-term bearish price action and then longer-term bullish continuation. Just a quick interruption. Let me know in the comments below any new pairs or topics that you would like me to cover in my next videos, because I'm always open to suggestions. Let's keep that in mind and drop down on the daily time frame. Now, from a daily perspective, what we can notice is a massive impulse to the upside. Again, this increases the probabilities that after this impulse, we could definitely see a correction. Because if institutions want to buy, there is a high probability that they will want to buy more inside of this zone. Because this zone is now the previous daily resistance turned support. So this increases the probabilities that we could see a correction inside of this zone to test what kind of liquidity we have inside of the area. Now, let's go and see if institutions are in fact buying USDCAD. To do that, let's move to the commitment of traders analysis. Now, first of all, we have to keep in mind that we are missing the very last few reports because the US government is currently in a shutdown. Now, this has been now one of the longest US government shutdowns in history, so I expect it to be over quite soon and the data to continue to be released as usual, obviously. Now, what we can see is here is the previous reports. Therefore, what we can do is, since we know that institutions take a lot of time to shift their positionings, usually it anyway takes weeks and weeks and weeks for them to complete a shift of positioning because there isn't enough liquidity in a specific moment in the market for them to just buy or sell the entire amount. So they have to spread out their position in time and slowly shift to the other side of the market. What we can see here is the kind of trend that was developing before we stopped getting the reports. And what we can see is that institutions were in fact shorting the CAD, therefore they were longing USD-CAD because all currencies on the spot are traded against the USD. So if institutions are shorting the CAD, they are longing USD-CAD. So that is exactly what was going on because net positions went from minus 53K all the way down to minus 114K. So institutions were aggressively shorting the CAD, adding 4,600 shorts with the very last few report that we have and closing 2,900 longs. Therefore, they were longing USD-CAD aggressively before we stopped seeing the reports. So let's keep that in mind and move back to the chart. So in this case, it comes as no surprise that the trend inverted because institutions now started longing USD-CAD and the price therefore has been moving higher. Now, if institutions want to continue to long, they first need a correction to a strong zone, which in this case would be this one here. So I definitely would expect a potential rejection lower to this level. And by the way, if you still haven't, make sure that you join my free Telegram channel, which you find linked in the description so you never miss new updates. Now back to the analysis. So in a situation like this, what would I expect? Well, as usual, and as my students know very well, trading is reactive and not predictive. The monthly, weekly, and daily timeframes combined with the COT data, those are the best timeframes when it comes to the directional aspect of the market. However, when it comes to identifying early shifts in the trend of a market, the best timeframes for that are the intraday timeframes, so 4 hour and lower. Therefore, if the market here would shift from an intraday bullish to a bearish market during this impulse phase, I wouldn't be surprised to see a correction lower into this demand and support zone before then seeing more bullish continuation away from this level. That definitely wouldn't surprise me. Now, everything that you see me share here on YouTube is just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, if you want to learn more, I really suggest that you head over to my website, which you find linked in the description. Here, you have the possibility to gain access to the best mentorship program in the world. You can get all my courses ranging from the very basics of charting all the way to the more advanced topics. You also have the possibility to gain access to the trading station software with the Telegram notification integrations, one-on-one private mentoring directly with me, the COT data software, which is the software that you often see me use in my analysis, and you also have the possibility to gain access to the entertaining live trading show. So essentially a live stream of all my trades as they're happening live every day. So my entries, exits, how I manage the positions, all streamed live every single day essentially in this Telegram channel, which is obviously private just for members. You also have the possibility to gain access to all my EAs. So essentially all my strategies, which you can then customize to your own preference. And here you see breakdowns of each and every one of my strategies, including a 10-year historical backtest of the strategy on high quality tick data. So essentially backtested on live charts. So basically, I would suggest that you go and check these ones out. And if you continue to scroll down past the testimonials, you will see that you have the possibility to join and gain automatically access with the email and password that you will create during the checkout process. So I really suggest to at least go and check it out. The link is in the description and I will see you in it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure that you drop a like and a comment. It really helps with the creation of new free analysis and education. And I will see you in my next video.